Let's dive into something I was thinking about this week, and I'm going to pick my 5 favorite off-season moves. Either a trade or a free agent signing. And one thing that's really added some juice to the league, a lot of young, aggressive general managers, trades are on the table. And you have a lot of just general managers that are younger, that are aggressive. I worked for one in Howie Roseman who's been trading people for 2 decades. But the John Schneiders, the Brett Veaches, the John Lynches, Belichick would trade his mom for the right, player. You just got Spielman. You got the Bill. I mean, you got everyone that will just trade. The Dolphins traded players. Bill O'Brien will do anything. The league has really been enhanced by the addition of the trades to supplement the free agent market. Because when I got in the league in like 2010 and 11, the franchise tag guys, like a free agent list was always such a joke because the majority of the guys were never going to hit the market. But now you have so many players that just get Jalen Ramsey, Khalil Mack, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Laramie Tunsil, DeAndre Hopkins. A lot of those guys, Bill O'Brien involved. Stephon Diggs. We'll dive into some of these names, DeForest Buckner, that are just available even though technically they're not available. It's really added some juice to the league. And I'll pick my 5 favorite moves this offseason. I'm going to start at 5. I'm going to go Stephon Diggs to the Bills. And clearly something was off there with the Bills. Even though for being a diva, he kept producing. He had 165 catches, 2,100 yards, and 15 touchdowns in the last 2 years. When the dude was on the field, he balled. So it's not like he was and they won. So, he could have some issues with the quarterback or whatever, but he was a winning player. The Bills, who Sean McDermott at the Combine told me, Josh Allen took a lot of heat last year as short and intermediate after his rookie year. He was inaccurate all over the field. Well, he really improved on those 2 elements of the game. And now his deep ball accuracy still takes a lot of heat. It's not very good. But you go, well, who's he really throwing to? Now, granted, he's missing them by a wide margin sometimes. You had Stephon Diggs, one of the best deep ball receivers in the league. Their team is really good. Their coaching staff's good. To me, there's no excuse for this team adding this piece. They have another solid draft. They have a good nucleus to not win the AFC East when the dust settles. Jim Kelly said it perfectly. Tom Brady's gone. There is no excuse. It's the Bills' division to lose. I agree with that. Love the Diggs trade. I guess it was a year ago or during the season, the Eagles balked at the Jalen Ramsey price. I agree. You can't trade 2 1s and a 2 for a corner. I'm sorry. Unless it's Deion Sanders, I'm not doing it. And you saw it kind of backfired on the Rams. They didn't even make the playoffs. They haven't even paid him yet. They don't have a first-round pick next year. It's just too much to pay. It really was. The Bears didn't give up that much for Khalil Mack. So it was just an astronomical amount. They were desperate, and it was too much. You're paying, 140 cents on a dollar. Where the Eagles, they still made the playoffs. Think about that. The Eagles made the playoffs. Now, part of it was the division, a big part of it. Their division sucked. But then this offseason, they get Darius Slay, who's missed 6 games since 2014. Pro Bowl level player who fits their system for a 3rd-round pick, 3rd and a 5th. Like, to me, it's all about value. And probably no team in the NFL is consistently as good as at the word value as Howie and the Eagles. But to get a player of that caliber for that cheap, and they got to give him a little bump, but they're still, wait till you see what Jalen Ramsey gets in a year from the Rams. So to pay that much to acquire a Pro Bowl, or I guess that little to acquire a Pro Bowl player at a position of desperate need, they needed a corner. They got a corner. Loved it. Number 3. Now, I'm not going to give the team that much credit because ultimately this player chose them. Now, I will give the team credit in the sense of they have a really good coach. Now, part of that, they got lucky to have the coach because Bruce Arians quit the Cardinals and was just randomly available and wanted to come back coaching. But they have Chris Godwin. They have Mike Evans. They have pieces on out. They had a couple tight ends. And just the location in Florida, Tom Brady going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They haven't made the playoffs in 12 years. They've become kind of an irrelevant franchise. It's just no juice to them. And there are only a small handful of teams in the league that just no juice. And they have become one. Even though last year they kind of got out of that mold a little bit because Jameis was throwing all the picks. But they were 7-9 with Jameis. He threw 30 picks. You add Tom Brady. You get Gronk to come along too. So you become one of the league stalwarts now for at least this year. You're going to be on national television all the time. You're going to have people like me and every show and Coward and just fans. Like, everyone's going to have an opinion on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because of Tom Brady. So they went from being kind of a dud to a stud overnight. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to win. I think they'll make the playoffs. I would predict they'd go 9 or 10 wins. Coaching staff's too good, and Brady's just too big of an upgrade over Jameis. Now, the pandemic, no practice time, merging of the offense, it's not going to be easy, but I don't see how you can't love going from Jameis Winston to Tom Brady. I don't care if he's 55 years old. I mean, Tom Brady is an upgrade. 49ers. I thought you could have just put Buckner for the 13th pick. I mean, you're trading a guy that's made one Pro Bowl for who's going to get paid $21 million for the 13th pick. And ultimately, that 13th pick led to Javon Kinlaw and Ayuk. But, listen, I like DeForest Buckner, and right now, if I was a betting man, DeForest Buckner I know is going to be good. These rookies, I don't know. I mean, it was just 50% bust rate on first-round picks. So they're talented, but who knows? But to me, the ability to get Trent Williams, a guy that's made 7 Pro Bowls. If you told me that you're going to lose Joe Staley, one of the best offensive linemen in the history of the franchise, and this ain't just some random franchise. They got 5 Lombardis. They've been to 2 this decade, and Joe Staley's going to retire, I'd be like, yeah, they're screwed. Well, they upgraded. And part of it was luck. Trent Williams, the Vikings offered more. He clearly denied, I'm not going to play there. He had some leverage, forced his way to Kyle. But you get Trent Williams, you get Trent Williams. So somehow you end the draft with Trent Williams. I didn't see that coming, and it's just an incredible move. Perfect scheme fit. I mean, the Shanahans literally drafted the guy. He's a star player, and I think he now getting out of that wasteland that's been DC. Though, listen, I think Rivera will change that, but the team that Trent played on to where he's going to now, huge upgrade. But the easiest, I mean, to me, there wasn't even a discussion for the number one move this offseason. The Arizona Cardinals had an overpaid injured running back, a guy scheduled to make $10 million. As toxic of a contract as you could find in the NFL. There is not a team in the league, I thought, that would take on a contract for David Johnson at that amount of money. Not a team. Let alone to use that guy to get a wide receiver who's had 95-plus catches in 4 out of the last 5 years, who is consistently one of the best non-quarterbacks in the league, who we've seen play in playoff games in that Bills game he took over last year. So you're telling me that I can trade my crappy asset and just a second-round pick for one of the best wide receivers in the league, and I have a young star quarterback in DeAndre Hopkins? When I wrote down that deal, getting ready for this segment, I was like, I don't even think this makes sense. So you're telling me that I get to unload my running back that not another team in the league would take, that the team wouldn't take it. Like, you couldn't be like, hey, I'll just send David Johnson your way and a box of balls and some bottles of wine. You'd be like, no, we're good. No, wait, you don't have to send anything back. Nah, yeah, just you keep it. We're good. Send the wine if you want, but keep the running back. And you got DeAndre Hopkins? It really is crazy. And this notion, and it always bothers me, he didn't practice hard. Bill, I don't give a crap. I just don't. He's had over 200 catches the last 2 years. You depend on this guy to win the division every year. So you're getting a running back who's always injured for $10 million. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense. So that's by far my favorite move, because it's one of the easiest moves you will ever see in NFL history. Honestly, it might be the easiest trade in NFL history. Maybe the one year, I guess, that I forget who traded him when the Saints traded their entire draft for Ricky Williams. That might be the easiest trade for I forget even the team. But Hopkins for a second-round pick who's under contract, and David Johnson's bloated contract. It doesn't even make sense when you say it out loud. So 1, I'm going DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson. 2, I'm going Trent Williams, the Niners. Buck signing Brady, 3. Eagles get Darius Slay for peanuts, 4. And Diggs to the Bills, 5. My 5 favorite moves this offseason. What's up, everybody? My name is John Middlekauff. and I host a show for Colin Cowherd called 3 and Out on his podcast network. You can subscribe to wherever you listen to your podcast. I worked in the NFL as a scout for Andy Reid and Howie Roseman, and I've been talking about football for the last 7 years. If you like your football talk, raw and unfiltered, no BS, I'm your guy. Subscribe to 3 and Out right now.